G'day watchers, welcome to Perth Watch, your horology channel, broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. I hope you guys are keeping well in these turbulent times. I'm looking after COVID inpatients in hospital, and I plead with you, if you're not already doing so, please adhere to all the social distancing measures being recommended. Please help your elderly stay at home, wash your hands, avoid touching your face, and all those advices that you have already seen. At the same time, I do think that we do need to try to keep up our interests and hobbies as far as situation allows. So I'm going to try to keep putting these out for you guys as much as I can. Alright guys, so today what I have is a watch from Yema Watch Company. Yema is a company established in 1948. Henri Dumont Belmont, as far as I understand, was the founder. And they went on to be the main supplier for the French Air Force, and they were most well known probably for the Yema Superman dive watch. I've got that coming soon, but today I have a different model that is going to be in this particular case. So let's flip the camera around now and take a closer look at this piece. Alright guys, so here we have it on the table, and it is this perforated leather travel case, which is kind of cool. You know, red, white and blue, which is France of course in this particular iteration, not the US. This is a French brand. And then you got the Yema, which is embossed on the side here. So that's the case. So I want to show you that it comes with this booklet, which you may have already seen me flick through if you follow me on Facebook, but I'll just kind of show it to you guys here. So it says here, you know, a bit of the origin of Yema, you know, the region, and then talking about, you know, where they started, which is diving, right? The Superman Navygraf here, you know, that watch that we'll review today. Racing chronographs, they did some of that work. I think the current versions are quartz. I think they do have some mechanical as well. And then space or aviation, which, you know, they do have some history, I believe. First French watch in space was Yema, or at least that's what I've read somewhere on the website. Racing regatta chronographs as well, or timers. And then it goes into, you know, a little bit more marketing and servicing. Okay, so that's really the booklet for you guys to look at and pause if you want to read the stuff here. So let's just get into this packaging, which is, you know, a one watch travel case, not two watches. I've put the spare links under there, and that's what you can do. But I guess cards and whatnot, if you have those, if you can store it, and it's just that simple stuff. Okay, so that's the watch in there. Let's show it to you guys now in closer detail. So guys, this is, as stated earlier, the Yema Navygraf Heritage Automatic. That's the full name of the watch, and I'll put the number in the description below, as well as in the captions. Not going to read out the whole model number. You can kind of look it up on the website as well. Okay, so the MSRP of this particular watch, $749 USD. So it's not a cheap watch by any means, but often they have 15% off coupons, or I think if you sign up for a newsletter or something, you can get 15% off quite readily. So that brings it to under, you know, 700. It'll be about $650 or thereabouts is the price that this will be going for, and you can acquire it for. Okay, so let's talk about the movement here then. The movement is interestingly what they call in-house caliber Yema MBP 1000. So in 2011, after a couple of years of work and development, they released the in-house movement. And if you look at the pictures, so take a look at the pictures on the website and the video captions and whatnot, you gotta say this is a modified 2824, right? I mean, if you guys know your stuff, let me know what you think, but that's really what I think it has to be, looking at the architecture of the movement. So specs down the left here, and it's got more jewels than the standard 2824, 31 jewels, and it's slightly higher power reserve at 45. But you know, the kind of stats otherwise is the same. This watch is not a date display watch, but it does have a ghost date position, again confirming or reaffirming that it is most likely an ETA 2824 kind of modified clone. Rated accuracy, as stated on the left there, that Yema, I guess, aims towards. In actual use, this has run about 10 seconds fast per day, which is absolutely fine. I think I can easily live with that type of accuracy and regulation. Okay, so that's the movement. Let's talk about the case here. The case is 39mm diameter, so 316L steel. Thickness is 12.5 millimeters. Right, it looks a little bit chunky because the lugs are kind of got this slimline profile. So the case looks a little bit chunky, but it is only 12.5 millimeters on thickness. The lug width is 19 millimeters, so that's a little bit slightly annoying. I prefer, of course, if it was 20, I think 20 would have been okay, and allows you to swap out straps. Very difficult to get straps or other bracelets at 19 millimeters. Lug to lug distance between my thumbs, 47 millimeters, which is pretty standard for a watch of this size. I think the overall weight is not a heavy watch. It is 120 grams with 3 or 4 links that I've removed to fit my particular wrist size here. Talking about the finishing then, longitudinal brushing along the top, okay, fairly well done, right, and longitudinal brushing along the sides, including, I guess, what you might call circular brushing around the side of that bezel housing there, or the top part of the case. As you go to the bottom, it transitions to circular brushing. Hopefully that's visible there. Circular brushing under the surface of the lugs there. And then, of course, you can see a high polish on the back there with that Yema coat of arms. Sorry, I've turned it upside down. It actually was right side up. So that coat of arms, Yema kind of embossed in the middle of that case back there. So you're seeing a solid screw down case back. It is, of course, a screw down crown for this kind of dive style watch. Hopefully you can see the sign there for the Y for Yema. Kind of nicely domed there, actually, that crown profile. So screw down dome crown for 200-meter water resistant rating is what this watch is achieving here. Moving on to the dial then. So the dial is matte black. Right, hopefully you can appreciate the really the nice matte, there's a very slight texture on it. Dial with printed details, so the Yema Navygraf at the top, the automatic water resistant rating pattern pending down the bottom there. So it's all printed, as well as the chapter ring around the periphery. It's got printed vintage style orange markers with indices which they say is exclamation mark, and I guess that's really what it is. This kind of vintage style dial, which I think is pretty cool. I really like the look of this, the orange that stands out against the black there. The hands are bright yellow, and that's something I've never seen, not in the watches that I've reviewed. Bright yellow baton style hands. It's got a very simple stick pointer for the seconds, which is in, again, bright yellow. And then lume is C5 Superluminova, so not C3 but C5, and it's okay. It doesn't really glow very brightly the whole night through, but it's functional, at least initially, in the dark, and it's applied in all the usual spaces, all 12 indices position, the hands as well as the full bezel. Lume shot right here, of course, for you guys to check out how it looks like in the dark. Okay, so that's the dial. Let's move on to the bezel, which, as you can see there, is kind of polished, right? It's got a reflective layer, and that's actually a sapphire insert or sapphire cover over this bezel, which is a 90-click unidirectional dive style bezel. This is what you're going to expect here, and it's 90, not 120 clicks. So let's just see how it sounds. 5, 10, okay, 15. So 15 clicks for 10 minutes. It's a 90-click bezel is what they have achieved, or what they have provided us here. Okay, so that's the bezel, and then talking about what's above the dial is a flat sapphire crystal with internal anti-reflective coating. Moving on to the bracelet then, guys. The bracelet here is H-link, right? It's brush finish H-link style. It does taper from 19 to 16 millimeters at the narrowest portion. It does have solid end links that you can see there, but it is push pin adjustment. Okay, there's no screw link adjustment here. It's got a pressed metal clasp, so showing you the clasp there. Right, the housing is pressed metal, but the dive extension is pretty solid. Right there. It's got 4-point micro adjustment and then fairly solid deployant arms. The keeper is again appears to be more a pressed metal keeper. Okay, so that's really the entire description of the watch. Let's just put that dive extension back and then pop it on the wrist to show you guys how it looks like on the wrist, my 17 centimeter wrist. So remember, this is a 39mm watch with a 47mm lug-to-lug distance, 12.5 thick. You know, absolutely fine for a wrist size like mine, and that's how it looks like. Okay, so there you go, guys. That's the description. What are the things that I have really liked about the Yema Navygraf? Like, okay, great original design. I have to say, I really enjoy the design. You know, just look at the lugs, how they flare out from the case. You know, that kind of cylindrical housing of the case that sits inside the lug housing. The dial, right? A lot of great original stuff here. Vintage cues. Love the actual, you know, overall, you know, feel of the watch. You know, it's really quite attractive, and an attractive colorway, I have to say. Very interesting, that bright yellow, orange on black. Really kind of got this vintage feel about it, which is exactly what they're going for. And I think they hit it, you know, that's really very much vintage inspired here. Overall materials are quality. Finishing is pretty good quality, right? No problems there, apart from the pressed metal of the clasp. I think that could be a little bit better. And materials wise, you know, you're getting sapphire on the top, including above the bezel there. It's got fascinating history, right? The company really does appear to have a very interesting history, you know, more than 70 years old now. And an interesting in-house movement, which is, you know, as I've showed you, looks like an ETA 2824. So presumably that means it is easy to service, but let me know if you know more than me about the Yema in-house movement that they've put in here. Sure, it definitely, to me, looks like a 2824 clone modification here. Overall, I would say this is a very comfortable daily wearer. It really sits quite comfortably on the wrist, and it's really quite light, you know, at 128. It's not a heavy watch. At least not in my opinion. It's not a heavy watch for myself, and easy to carry every day. Weaknesses, or things that I would be, I guess, slightly cautious about. Again, I've mentioned the pressed metal clasps. Okay, you know, I think they really need to push a little bit more. I would suggest at this price point. Seems a bit underdone. I think screw links are very welcome at this price. You know, Steinhardt can do it for much cheaper. I think people selling watches at these prices, they really need to start to step up to give us screw links here. Almost mandatory, I think, in today's market. This isn't quite a micro brand, it's really quite an established brand, but you're really competing with a lot of watches that give us those specs. There's a slight uncertainty, again, about the movement serviceability, but presumably it should be easy to service because the architecture is all there. But again, let me know if you know better than me. And then overall, I think the design, whilst I like it, I reckon, in my opinion, it could be easily improved and lifted if they lowered that bezel housing, right? Put that bezel more flush with the lug level there, and give us a nice box sapphire crystal. That would, I think, overall lift this. That's kind of what the Superman watch is. Maybe they don't want to kind of go too close to that and give us something different, and that's fair enough, you know. But if you prefer box sapphire, this one doesn't have that look. I think it would have been an improvement overall if we had that. Okay, guys, so there we go. My thoughts and review and comments on the Yema Navygraf. Let's flip the camera around now for the wrap up. So there you go, guys, my review of the Yema Navygraf. A lot of stuff I like about this watch. I think it is quite a nice piece, and of course it's got that very fascinating and interesting in-house movement which they have developed. So guys, would love to hear your thoughts on this watch. If you have any experiences with Yema as a company, certainly yeah, would like to hear your particular journey with any of watches that you might own. They do have the Superman, which is their most popular model. I have that coming in the mail pretty soon, and of course you will see it in this channel when I get around to it. Hopefully that doesn't take me too long. So guys, stay well. If you like my videos, do consider subscribing. I put out new content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology, or at least I'll try to keep doing this every week during this time. Thank you again for sticking with me, and of course I'll see you guys next time.